Hello YouTube, it's the Millennial Asset here, and today's video is going to be about how I manage my finances. Before we start, I just want to say that, like the word says, personal finances are personal. They differ from person to person. So the way that I manage my finances may not be the best fit for you. I am hoping that by showing you how I manage my finances, either something will make sense for your life and you can use it, or maybe it doesn't and you can tweak it to however you need to be able to better manage your finances. So the first thing I do when it comes to managing my finances is I track my expenses and I create a budget. I know I've mentioned this in a few of my other videos on my pages because budgeting is so important to me. It gives me a sense of control, and I'm going to show you all how I go about creating my budget for the month. So as you all can see, this is my budget for the month of March, and I am going to go through some of the different categories and what exactly I include in them. So as you can see over here, we have my income. I put both of my paychecks. I get paid bi-weekly. And then down here, I have a rollover section because I keep a buffer in my bank account, and that's generally around $1,000 a month. Down here, I have all of my bills listed, my mortgage, my utilities, phone bill, car insurance, gym. And then down here at the bottom, I have my subscriptions separated out because I like to keep a special eye on those, because when it is time for me to decrease my expenses, those are the first things that I look at, these subscriptions, because I will cancel a subscription in a minute. Then over here we have all of my expenses. Those are like the things that change from month to month, like my groceries, eating out, any self-maintenance I may do. If I have a trip coming up, I will put that down here for my spending money. If I want to do any things to my house, home improvement, my personal spending. And then down at the bottom, I have my debt, so student loans, credit cards. And as you guys can see, I do currently have a little bit of debt that I am working to pay off. My student loans are still in forbearance, whatever the government is allowing right now. And over here we have savings. That is me saving long-term and short-term goals. So usually if I know about a trip in advance, I would save for it down here. But this trip over here in my expense that came up last minute, so I am saving for that as of this month. And for long-term savings is usually my emergency fund and my goals. So right now this year I am saving towards a rental property. And then down here we have investments, so that is on top of the investments that I already contribute through my job, so like in a Roth IRA or buying stock. And up here we just have overviews. So I have the monthly overview, which has all of the different categories and the amounts, and there's a formula in here that lets me know what the balance is. And like I mentioned, I like to keep a buffer, so that's what this $1,000 is for the month of March. Make sure that I keep my buffer in my account. And over here is just a chart that for visual preferences, I like to see things with my eyes, and charts help me do that. Something else that I want to mention about budgeting is there are other methods of budgeting. You have the 50-20-30, where 50% are your needs, 20 are your savings, 30s are your wants. You have zero-based budgeting, where if I was doing a zero-based budget, that $1,000 would be allocated to some other area, because the goal is to get your budget down to zero every month. I also want to mention that it is important for you to create a budget and start tracking your spending at whatever dollar value you are making now, because if you plan on making more money in the future, if you can't manage what you have now, you'll never be able to manage more money. You will just be making more money and spending more money, and you don't want that to happen, because that's not how you get in control of your money. The next thing that I do to help manage my money is I plan and save for retirement. Currently, I contribute to my employer's 401k plan, and I currently put $400 a pay period for a total of usually $800 a month. The goal though is for me to be contributing at least 15% of my salary to my 401k. And then after I reach that goal, the next goal is to be able to max out, which I believe is around 20K this year, but that's not happening this year, so I'm not worried about what the number is. Then I want to be able to start contributing to a Roth IRA, and the goal is to start doing that this year. I may not max it out this year, but I definitely want to start contributing to a Roth IRA this year. And the difference between a 401k and a Roth IRA is one is pre-tax and one is post-tax. With a 401k, I am contributing with my pre-tax money, which means that all the growth, once I pull it out at retirement age, will be taxed. But with a Roth IRA, the money that I'm putting in is post-tax. So the taxes have already been taken out. So any growth that I make on that money, it's tax-free. Another way that I am planning for retirement is I want to get more into investing, specifically real estate, stocks, and mutual funds. I plan on saving this year to get my first rental property. I already own a primary home, but I want to buy a multifamily property. And I do currently own some stocks, but not as much enough to be bragging about. So that's how I plan and save for retirement. Those are like my areas of focus currently right now. The next area that I use to manage my money is having an emergency fund. Listen, life comes at you fast, and things that you are not planning on breaking or happening, it happens, and it's important for us to be prepared for them. So generally, an emergency fund should have 3 to 6 months of your expenses in there. And obviously you want to save that over time. One thing I will say is when I first started my journey and I was following the Dave Ramsey baby steps, he suggested that you have $1,000 in your bank account, which I don't completely agree with. I think that you should have at least 1 month of expenses before you decide to drastically pay off debt the way he suggests. So an emergency fund is for things like if you lose your job, if your car breaks down, if you have a medical emergency, if you have death and you need to fly out as soon as possible, miss a few days of work. It's for things that you are not expecting to come up, but it could happen, and you want to have the money so that you don't have to either dig into savings, your long-term savings, or you don't want to have to use a credit card every time you have an emergency, because once you get into credit card debt, it's hard to get out of it. The next way that I manage my money is by managing my credit. I pride myself in my 30s by having good credit because that was not always the case in my 20s. I have really done the work to get my credit score to a place that I am happy with. And the way I did that is making sure that I pay down all of my debts, making sure that I monitor my credit utilization, making sure that I don't close out any of my old accounts because that matters. And the reason why I'm so hard on myself about maintaining a good credit score is because I don't like being in situations where I want something or I want to do something and someone's telling me no because I can't get approved for the credit. Sometimes you just don't have the time or the means to save the cash to pay for something, and you just need to get the credit. Yes, I just don't want to be stuck in situations where I have to choose. If I want something, I want to be able to get it, especially if I know I can afford it. The next thing that I did or am currently doing in my 30s is paying down debt. So in my late 20s, I was able to pay off my car a year earlier. I was able to pay down all of my credit card debt. I know you guys saw just now on my budget that I do currently have credit card debt. And I think the reason why I'm okay with having a little bit of debt is because I was able to show myself that I can pay it down before. But the reason why you want to pay down your credit card debt is because it allows you to have more money to do the things that you really want to do, whether that's saving or investing. And you have to figure out what's the best method for you to pay down your debt. I know a lot of people use the snowball method. Some people use the debt avalanche, but you have to figure out what works best for you. I currently only have one debt, and that is one credit card. The rest of my debt I was able to pay off, and I will be consumer debt free in probably like 4 months. I don't really include my student loans because I currently work for the government and I plan on using public service loan forgiveness for that. One thing to note is that the longer you wait to pay off your debt, the worse it will become. You just get so used to accumulating so much debt that you don't realize where you are until you are 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 in debt, and you don't make enough to pay that off in the amount of time that you wish you could. So those are a few of the ways that I use to manage my money, and I hope that these methods help you all do the same. If you have any questions, make sure that you leave them in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, make sure that you leave a like and make sure that you subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this.